at Honor Center.
Good evening and welcome to the May 22nd business meeting of Richmond Community Schools Board of School Trustees. I would ask that you stand for the pledge, and immediately following the pledge, I'm going to ask for a moment of silence for those people affected in Moore, Oklahoma. Thank you. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we will now have the reading of our mission.
Richmond Community Schools mission: graduate students who are literate, responsible, proficient in state and national standards, and college and career ready.
And hopefully we have some of those people here with us tonight. And our vision:
by 2020, Richmond Community Schools will be the highest performing school system in East Central Indiana.
Okay, thank you very much. And now we have two opportunities for public commentary, and this is our first opportunity, and we just ask that you come forward and state your name and address the board in an acceptable manner, and you will have 5 minutes. Do we have anyone wishing to speak tonight? No, no one wishing to speak. Okay, we are ready for our snapshots of success.
Before we ask for our first snapshot of success to be highlighted, I would like to request that we have a couple changes on the agenda. One would be to move 7.03 textbook adoption from an action item to a report discussion item. The other item that I would like to request is to totally remove 7.05, which has to do with our Kelly Educational Service Agreement. We are not prepared, due to some late changes from Kelly Services, to present that to the board tonight for even a discussion. So we would like to bring that back to another meeting.
Okay, so is everybody in agreement that we can move and move and remove? Okay. So continuing on with our snapshots of success.
Yes, let me get up to that. Actually, our celebration of excellence is one of the highlights of the year. Mrs. Stewart brings that together every year, and I would like to turn this part over to her, and she can discuss some of the personalities that evolved this year as part of our celebration of excellence.
Okay. We begin the process by soliciting building teachers of the year. Then each of the building teachers of the year is asked to submit an application or portfolio, which is reviewed by a committee, and then we select an elementary teacher of the year and a secondary teacher of the year. And we also celebrate administrator of the year, support person of the year, and friend of education. And all three of those are solicited from the building. Anyone can nominate candidates for those, and the committee makes the selection. So I'll start with friend of education, Leslie Bolser and Brian Dara. Richard Bryant was named our administrator of the year. Support person of the year was Mike Rogan. Elementary teacher of the year is Melissa Jordan. And secondary teacher of the year is Denise Selm. And then we look at the portfolios of the elementary and secondary teacher of the year, and then we select the RCS teacher of the year, and that teacher will represent us, if it is that person's choice, at the state level. And this year, the RCS teacher of the year is Denise Selm, and Denise will receive $1,000 to purchase items for her classroom. And I think Denise is here. She is. If you'll come up. Denise, I asked you to come up because I'm pretty sure there'll be a question or two from a board member.
Well, Denise, we certainly congratulate you, and we thank you for everything that you do on behalf of students in Richmond schools.
Well, thank you very much. And I've enjoyed the 12 years that I've been here, and the opportunities that RCS has given me. I really appreciate that. And the students that I have the opportunity to work with every day in the classroom, it's just a joy, and I'm very thankful.
Well, so my question is, how are you going to spend that money?
Well, I have been working with technology. That's what I teach. And so I'm trying some things out right now. And I'll decide here in the next couple weeks and how I'm going to implement that. And I know it will benefit the Business Professional of America students and my students in the classroom.
Absolutely.
I'm excited
Wonderful.
about that.
Dixie?
Well, I just wanted to say, as a former student, I'm very proud of her, and also that she will be representing Richmond at the state.
Are you going to help her do the Are you going to help her do the portfolio?
Yes, I am.
One of my mentor teachers, Mrs. Robinson, is going to support me and help me modify my portfolio to meet those requirements for the state.
Great.
It should help, don't you think, that you have a national championship?
Absolutely. We'll be discussing that soon.
You know, I've heard that now at the state level, it's really data-based, a lot of it, of the portfolio and the interviewing and everything is a lot data-based, so.
Everything that's submitted is online portfolios, all in written format. So a lot of the images and things I were able to use for the local competition, I'll have to modify that a little bit. So I'll
Okay.
be able to do
Well,
that.
good luck.
All right.
Good
Thank you.
luck to you. Anybody else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Our second snapshot of success has to do with academic recognition at the high school, and I would like to ask Mrs. Wolpe to come forward and orchestrate this particular event.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to celebrate our successes at Richmond High School. I'm going to turn this over to Mrs. Karen Kimball, who is our academic team coordinator, and let her share with you all of their successes.
Dr. Borf, President Morganson, all the members of the board. We have some great kids here and some great accomplishments we'd like to share. But before I get into that, there's 3 sections of it. Before I get into that, I think she's always the cheerleader and always saying, yay, hurrah, we're doing great. But we need just a moment to say wonderful things about Mrs. Wolpe. She's always the
Back there
cheerleader.
cheering and
Yes, she's back there cheering. We're lucky to have her leadership. She's always supportive of the students and makes the announcements and is genuine and goes out and hugs the kids and recognizes every single thing they accomplish, and we're really proud to have her leadership. So we have 3 things for the academic teams. Number 1, we are now 4 years in a row being in the top 10 of all schools in the state of Indiana. And we accomplished that by a collective scoring in Super Bowl, which several of you, major reader over here, and scorekeepers are involved with the Super Bowl, the academic Super Bowl in Tiernan. And so we had first place in fine arts, second place in all the other subjects, and fourth in science, but collectively that puts us in the top 10 in the state of Indiana. So that's a huge accomplishment with special awards, special certificates, everything. So we're really proud of that. And the second part there is fine arts team did score first place at Super Bowl. Two of the girls are not here tonight, Caitlin Doyle and Aiden Wilhelm. But the three guys who were on the fine arts team with them are part of the reason that we were able to get first place at Super Bowl, which was pretty exciting. And the weird thing is, we got first place at Super Bowl, but the score wasn't high enough to go to state. And then the English team, which is the three gentlemen behind me here, they got second place at Super Bowl, but it was a high enough score to go to state. And they went to state. They missed the first question, heart attack here, so, but it turned out to be a great strategy, and I even complimented them, because by missing the first one, they then, on the tiebreakers at the end, they had the most correct in a row, because they missed one early on, and the other teams missed something in the middle, so great strategy. They're a lot of fun. They love to drink coffee and special drinks at all the coffee shops in town, so that's where we spend a lot of our time studying. Some of them are bottomless pits. They like to eat. But basically, they are absolutely, positively three brilliant young men. Absolutely top students all the way down the line. And they're stellar, and that's how Richmond High School was able to look so great, because of these gentlemen. So, John Perales, Tanner Jobs, and Ian Riley. And go ahead and ask him questions.
Well, I have a question. I have a question about the tiebreaker, because we didn't get the tiebreaker.
They can explain the
Oh,
tiebreaker.
okay.
Okay, do explain it, though.
All right, well, as we were working through the competition, as we got toward the end, we realized that we were tied with two other schools with the exact same score and with only one question left, and so it wasn't really realistic to pull ahead or anything like that. But at the state level, they have three different tiebreakers, one being past scores, and that was the GOAT, and they go to first. And unfortunately, we were beaten by one of the schools in the past that had a higher score than us. The second was a perfect score, so a 25, but nobody had that, so it was whatever. And then the last and the third one that they would check would be a streak. And so how many questions you got right in a row would determine, who won the tiebreaker.
So it came down to a past score.
Yeah, unfortunately it did.
Okay.
So what was the topic this year?
It was, well, for us, as an English team, it was ancient Greek literature. So we had a lot on that.
Are they all seniors? Are you all seniors?
No.
I'm a senior, the only one.
So we have a future.
Yeah,
Yes.
they do have a future. So, Mr. Jobs, you're the senior?
Yes.
So what are you doing next year?
I'm going to Wittenberg University and double majoring in English and music.
Great.
Congratulations.
Well, congratulations, and thank
Thank
you
you.
for representing Richmond schools so well.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Good evening. Our next group will be the Business Professionals of America. And sometimes they say it doesn't matter how you start the race, it's how you finish. But in this event, the start and finish wasn't the greatest. They started out with a delay on the plane and didn't make it to Florida until about 12:30. And I thought everything was going great. And then Angie called me on Sunday at 6 and said the bus wouldn't start when they got back. So the finish wasn't that great either. But I'm going to let
In-between.
them tell you about the in-between, because that was great. So go ahead, ladies.
I'll talk again. Actually, it wasn't a delay, it was a cancellation on the flight on the way down, and I had all these students, and I was trying to keep everybody on a plane, and it did work out. We got down there just in time, pretty much, 1 o'clock in the morning, because Emily's competition was at 7 a.m., so that was my goal, is to get the students down there for competition that morning. This year, Nationals was in Orlando, Florida. We did stay at the Disney Resort, which was nice for the students. Some of the students had never been there, so again, a great opportunity for them. And again, just like Dr. Kimball said, we're very fortunate to have the support of administration, the school system, to give these students these opportunities they may never, ever experience again, and they've done a wonderful job. They worked in the classroom, outside of the classroom this time. We had 13 qualify to go to nationals to compete this year, which is the largest group we've taken so far. And then we had a lot of podium finishes, a lot of on stage at the awards session. A lot of the students can't be here. We've got golf, tennis regionals, band. Someone has to get back to band and orchestra. We got a lot going on, but we do have 3 students here that participated in the Fair Trade Challenge, which is what we won. Overall, first place in nationals. There were 16 teams that participated, and it was a team of 8. And we'll show you their website here in just a second. Here it is. And I will let Alexis come up.
Try to get these coughs out.
She's got their plaque and one of the products that they created. So I'll let her. Maybe I have to do this. Is it working? No.
Okay.
Could we turn that light down?
Well, while she messes with getting that figured out, we participated in the Fair Trade Challenge, and essentially what that consisted of was us 8 team members working on creating a fictitious business plan that adhered to the fair trade principles. And that is basically the principles rely on supplying economic support to third world countries and communities where there are artisans and workers that don't get fair wages. So our business basically revolved around creating recycled home decor and other products from artisans in Gujarat, India. And this is an example of one of those products. What we did is this rolled up recycled magazine papers and made bowls and plates and cups, placemats, and all sorts of things like that. To sell at our fictitious business. And once we actually got down to Orlando, we participated in a mock sales expo. So for 2 hours straight, we were trying to sell our product to all the buyers that came through. So we had other BPA advisors, past alumni, people that had participated in BPA, and I had to deliver a sales pitch to about 3 rounds of judges, and they had a lot of questions and kind of conquering any objections that they might have to making the sale and purchasing. So it was a really neat experience. Kind of stressful too because there were so many people, but it was really great. And Mitchell A. House was able to design our website for us to have there at the booth. We were able to take iPads down and help show people that were potentially buying from us what that website would look like. And does it pop up there? Oh. So Mitchell we had a product tab that helped display everything that we had there for sale, so to speak. We had a tab that it introduced our cause and what each member did and contributed to the team. And we also had an online order form option. But since we were down there, we had to just use paper invoices to make the sale so the judges could count everything up. But it was a really, really cool website. Mitchell did an awesome job, and I think it really helped put us a step above the rest of the other teams.
Roche, you want to talk about the business plan real quick?
Okay, thank you.
So I was mainly part of the business plan of the fair trade team because my competition is entrepreneurship, so I also have to make a business plan myself. So I was kind of the head honcho of that. They all kind of helped me and kind of pitched in, but I was the overseer of everything. So this business plan is as extensive as a legitimate business plan. We could take this right now and go to a bank and ask for a loan and legitimately start up this business. It is a very extensive business plan. We have marketing in there, who we're going to market to, why we're marketing to them. We have where our store location is going to be. We were located in Circle Center Mall in Indianapolis. because we figured that was where we were going to get the most foot traffic. We also had to design what our cart was going to look like and where it was going to be and how many monthly expenses we had, so any kind of rent fees or any kind of stocking fees. We also found a place to store all of our items so we could get them to the customer, and any kind of website fees. So basically anything that really had to be involved in putting our business up, that was all part of the business plan. I think it ended up being 9-10 pages. Yeah, so.
Linda, could we hear everybody's name on the team? I think public needs to
So
know.
it was me, Roshni Brombat. Oh, it's on the screen. Alexis Sheets. Is it? It's not moving. Oh, okay. Mitchell A. House, Caitlin Kramer, Henry Dickman. Oh God, I don't know what I'd be. Rebecca Ochoa, Laura Belito Manuel, Erica Bischoff, and me, Roshni Brombat.
Nice. Thank you.
It's not moving up.
So my name is Erica Bischoff, and my job, along with Becca Ochoa and Pamela Belito Manuel's jobs, was a lot of the advertising stuff. So like the business cards you have in front of you, we constructed these. We had a full working Twitter page that we updated as the Fair Trade Expo was going on to help try and earn us some extra points. We were a lot of in charge of making all the products. We had bracelets that we made out of the same magazines that we handed out as like a free gift so that we could get more people to come buy from us. We had brochures that we handed out. We had flyers that we handed out. So that was a lot of what we did. And that also helped put us a lot over the edge because a lot of the other businesses didn't have as many promotional items as we did.
Oh, cool. Hi. So I'm Emily Jetmore, and I was not a part of Fair Trade, but I competed in 2 other competitions that I qualified for at Nationals. And the first one of those was fundamental word processing, which is basically just typing fast in a certain format. Yeah, that's really it. It's not very complicated. But you just have to make sure that everything's really accurate, that everything is set in the certain format that you want to have it set in. And it's really weird because when you're competing, you can see the other competitors out of the corner of your eye, and you see the mistakes that they're making. You're like, yes, I didn't miss that. So I placed 7th in that event, which I was really, really pumped about. Because it's really hard to tell. With all of our other competitions, you have finals where you qualify to go compete again if you're in the top 12, and fundamental word processing doesn't have finals. You just go at 7 in the morning and do your event, and then that's it. You'll find out when awards happen if you did well or not well at all. So it was really nerve-wracking for me to find out how I did, but I was really proud of that result. And my other competition was presentation management team, which I did with Alexis and Roshni. We were a team, and we gave a presentation about the benefits of hiring students who had been in BPA. And so we talked about all the experiences that we had, all the really diverse opportunities that we were given, stuff about professional dress and leadership opportunities that just make you more well-suited to be a part of a company and to be an employee. And we took 9th in that competition, so that was really cool.
She's a drum major. Did you see that? I know.
Did the rest of you do others also?
Yes. Do you just want to go down the line? So, like I said, I competed in presentation team management, which I placed 9th in, and also entrepreneurship, where my business plan was a pet grooming service. And this is the 3rd year I've competed in it, and I ended up placing 6th.
And I did administrative support research project individual, which basically I wrote a paper under 4 pages about social media in the workplace, the benefits, how it can hurt a business, and then the economic possibilities from it, and I placed 12th in my event.
Nice. Well, you know, I don't even know what kind of questions to ask. You guys you are so well prepared, and but certainly the business that you have created, it is very interesting, and it makes me want to to know more and want to perhaps purchase from you. So you have me sold, but we just
Probably
appreciate.
looking for angel investors, right?
Actually, a lot during the competition of the 2 hours, it was such an extensive thing, but I think our entire team really, really enjoyed doing it. And as we got there to the competition, we had been really freaking out about all the different kind of competitors that we were competing against, and some people had really, really big items such as selling condos, and they had other products, things like that. And as we got there, a couple people came to us and said, "You're a real fair trade business. You are really helping third world countries. You're really helping provide jobs, and this is real." Everybody else, they kind of get the gist of it, but it's not as extensive as you guys are. And somebody came up to us and said, so where's Full Circle Creations at? Expecting a real product and a real business because we were that professional looking. And to hear that from people was really, really awesome. So.
Nice.
Well, obviously, you performed as a team, and also the leadership that was provided you certainly helped. And so we want to thank you as their teachers for all the work that you do, because they wouldn't be where they are without you. So thank you all so much, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Plaque, too. They brought their plaque, if you wanted to see their
Oh,
plaque.
wow.
I'll get that. One more thing, real quick. And these three are juniors, so they're going to be back. Again, sorry. Next year, and Rashni,
Good.
our senior.
I'm the only senior here, I guess.
Well, we will look forward to you coming back next year again.
Where are you going to be next year?
Purdue for biomedical engineering.
Fantastic.
And the juniors that we have coming back, a few of them have their Microsoft Office Specialist certifications, and we've been working with partnerships. We've partnershiped with the Uptown Innovation Center, and the lab that I have over at the high school is now a Certiport certification lab. So we've got 18 students that have received their Microsoft Office Specialist certifications in PowerPoint, and some of them in both PowerPoint and Word, and they're going to be the ones that have their certifications will be training some local community members. We're going to do some piloting of it this summer, so they're going to be working with local businesses in giving training and then practice and actually certifying some community members.
Oh.
And so
Sign
we're
us up.
working with
Wow.
businesses, and we want to work with our faculty as well. And so we're going to have the BPA students doing the training to prepare these individuals for certification. So
Wow.
we're real excited about that. So they'll be working over the summer and
That's
doing
great.
that all throughout the school year next year too.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Keep up the good
Thank you.
work.
We have one more group to celebrate this evening. We have two different clubs in the Career Center. Obviously, Business Professionals of America is here. We also have a Skills USA group, which is more of the hands-on trades classes that we offer. We're proud to say that we also have a state champion in the trades area as well as the business area. And Mr. Walton is the sponsor for Skills USA, and he'll bring you up to speed.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good.
What we've got is a Skills USA. It's a group that's nationwide, and like Mr. Hensley alluded to, it is more hands-on. Anything from carpentry to cosmetology to machine tool to architectural drafting, anything that is traditionally trades. And this year we were very successful. It's divided up into 4 regions in the state of Indiana. We're in Region 4, and for us to get out of a regional is impressive because we're up with Walker Career Center, Ben Davis, Whitewater, some traditional heavy hitters in the state of Indiana in the traditional vocational ed. I know that's not a term that we try to use a whole lot anymore, but in that type of field. We actually had 8 students advance to the state level. We had 3 in drafting, 2 in machine tool, and 3 in carpentry.
That's great.
The team behind me, Russell Zimmerman, Austin Steck, and Dallas Souter, competed in what used to be known as the Tech Prep Showcase. It's actually called the Career Pathways Showcase, specializing in architecture and engineering. They went up there on Friday night and presented and won the state competition. Then Dallas actually left Indianapolis, went to Muncie, competed in the band competition, and won gold. And, I'm sorry, Russell Zimmerman, who did I say?
It's in Dallas.
Okay, I'm sorry, it was Russell, sorry. And then Russell came back in the morning, competed in the architectural drafting competition by himself, and won the state championship. So Russell, being a team player, you can only compete in one event in nationals. And so he felt, instead of doing it individually, he wanted to take the team. And so as a team, we're going to be going to Kansas City here June 24th. So
Nice.
they also have a presentation to show later on in the board meeting, and you'll get to see the project that they actually did. So they're all students of Mr. Knapp, and the other two students in machine tool were with Mr. Amos. And so as a department down there, we're pretty proud of our kids this year. Had a very successful year. Any questions for the kids, or?
Are they all seniors?
We have 2 seniors and 1 junior. Me and Russell Zimmerman are the senior, and Dallas Satter is a junior.
Where are you going next year?
I'm enlisted in the U.S. Army.
And I will be going to the University of Cincinnati to study architecture.
Great.
And Russell, I'm sure this is all attributed to your first grade literacy teacher. Okay.
Who was that?
I could tell some stories, but I won't right now.
Oh, please do.
That's
That might be for another venue. All right.
Oh, my goodness. I have a question. I have had lots of conversation in the last week or so about how kids find the thing that they're interested in. So could you tell me how you guys found this, like, you're going to major in architecture. What are you going to major in?
I'm majoring in engineering and mostly with CAD software.
Okay, so how did you find that? What sent you there?
Well, for me,
I might want to come up to the mic because I really want to get this on camera.
For me, my father works with the city. He's a city planner, and also used to work with the Historic Landmarks Foundation. So I've been able to go along with him and see a lot of good representations of architecture, and through that, I kind of learned about the architecture program here at Richmond and was able to eventually get into some drafting classes, and from there learned about Skills USA.
Okay. How about you?
Honestly, when I first came to Richmond High School, I wanted to be a doctor. Just to lay that out there, I watched a couple surgeries and stuff like that, and I decided that's not what I wanted to do. So I needed to fill in a couple classes since I was no longer going to take medical terminology. And my freshman year, I took a foundations course with Mr. Knapp, and I really enjoyed it. And through constant nagging, I decided to stay. And this year, since I'm a senior, I decided to do a co-op position, which I work at A-House Tool and Engineering, and I get to work with CAD software and CAM software, which is computer-aided drafting and machining. And I make three-dimensional prints. I am a master paper folder, and I make sure that everything is ship-shape.
He has if that doesn't work, he has a job as a stand-up comedian, if you haven't noticed.
So are you going to be able to pursue this through the Army?
Yes, that's actually what I'm majoring in the Army.
Well, following Suzanne's question, I've spent the day today talking with and working with Chamber of Commerce and a few other people who are looking at how do we get more young people involved in the kinds of work you're involved in, because this community needs that. So how do you tell other young students, you ought to try something in the Career Center, you ought to try one of these courses?
We have an open house at the high school, which does a great job of showing everything. I think we need to have something more along just career education, because people coming into the high school, they're more focused on like, oh, I need a gym credit, I need this credit. They need to make sure that everyone knows that, there are career education classes like carpentry, automotive, and especially drafting, because that's my favorite, so I want to make sure that gets out there. But I just want to make sure everyone knows about it because they have great opportunities, they have great scholarships, they have great opportunities to actually be in the workforce through co-op, intern, and job shadowing. So that's a really great program we need to make sure everyone knows about.
And probably students need to do the selling.
Definitely.
Yeah, actually, if I could add something. I think that it's really nice to have more than just being able to say that we have these computer programs and be able to show them on the computer, but to have something like the bus drive that we designed to be able to show incoming students what you can actually do with those programs really gets them more involved and makes them more interested.
We caught that all on tape, didn't we?
Thank you.
We did. Mrs. Wolpe, you'll be using that?
Well, thank you so much, and Mr. Walton and Mr. Knapp, thank you for your leadership and for guiding these fine young men in the direction that they are headed. And we're proud of each of you, and good luck to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ms. Heine, I'm going to be stuck in a car with these guys going to Kansas City, so I might record Mr. Steck's conversation. Present those to you.
I'm not sure. Okay. How much fun. He is a...
Do the high school administrators have any other highlights? Okay.
Oh, no, you're not.
We
Thank you.
We will move on then.
International merit.
Mrs. Hively, thank you for arranging the next snapshot. Would you like to introduce?
Let the girls do their thing.
Okay, you don't have to shake everybody's hands, right? You're just going to do some of them. Micah? Okay, good, okay. This is another one.
Well, thank you for coming. It's a pleasure having you.
Thanks for coming.
How many girls are going?
I don't know, but
2 cards we got.
I'm with you there.
Hello, and
Hi.
thanks for having us once again. I'm Naomi Carter. I'm in 7th grade at Dennis Intermediate School, and I'm excited to tell you about all the success that we've had with our Let's Move program at Girls Inc. But first, I want to tell you all about what Girls Inc. of Wayne County is. So, to start off, Girls Inc., and hopefully all the Girls Incs. Across the nation, their mission is to inspire all girls to be strong, smart, and bold, no matter their race, age, or their size. Nothing. That doesn't matter. You need to be strong, smart, and bold. That's what we're about. And we serve 100 girls at our center here in Richmond and 1,400 girls in schools. So that's pretty impressive. And not only that, but for 40 years we've been serving girls and taking care of them and teaching them here in Richmond. And one second. So, our after-school program here just ended May 17th, but in that after-school program we had the strong girls who were ages 6 through 8, and our smart girls ages 9 through 11, and our bold girls, us, ages 12 through 14. And we, the bold girls, decided that we should do something with Let's Move. Next is our plan.
Hello, I'm Micah Thomas. I'm in 7th grade and I go to Dennis Intermediate School. You're probably wondering where we got this idea from. Last fall we studied the elections and lots of American leaders. This winter we were asked to come up with a leadership project, and Miss Susie asked us all to think about leaders we had studied and to pick one to model our project on. And then we decided all together to pick an amazing lady named Michelle Obama. We studied the things she has done as First Lady,
and the Let's Move program seemed pretty important because the goal is to reduce childhood obesity. And you're also probably wondering who all participated. We had the weekly nutrition club, and we had about 5 to 10 girls a week. Daily, we exercised 15 to 20 minutes, and average, we had about 22 girls a day. Weekly fruit and vegetable surveys, all girls that were attending participated. We averaged about 27% of girls reported their steps each week. We have had the help of many groups. The National Let's Move program at the White House. Reed Hospital provided us with pedometers so the girls could track all their steps. And the Women's Fund, who is helping us get to DC. Special thanks to all of our Girls Inc. staff at the center for all your support. Thank you for listening. I'm Micah Thomas, and now the talented Hannah will be talking.
Okay, so my name's Hannah Stifler, and I'm in 7th grade, and I go to Logos Lab. And so, like Micah said, once we picked Michelle Obama, we wanted to do something that's kind of similar to what she's doing now, and something that she would be proud of us for doing. So at first we wanted to do gardening and stuff, but we started this program in February and March, so you can't really garden in the snow. So we had to pick something else, and so we decided to do a nutrition and physical activity program. And that's similar to Let's Move program. It focuses on eating more fruits and vegetables and exercising more to reduce childhood obesity and to just make us overall more healthier. And so for exercises, we did a lot of like dancing and yoga and things along that line because it's fun and stuff, and it wasn't considered exercising to us. It was considering having fun, which is what we wanted to do because we didn't want to force people to exercise because that wouldn't be fun. And the Bowl Girls led this activity. And then we also planned more healthier snacks because after school, when we get there on our bus, we have snack, and then we'll do program, and then we'll have free time. And for the snacks, we had like dried fruit, which they all got to try, and also broccoli. And a lot of the girls actually liked broccoli, which most children don't. And they actually said it was a favorite, which we are very accomplished of because the fact that they now eat it all the time in school lunch and stuff. So it's like really helpful. And now it's the lovely Becca's turn.
Hello, my name's Rebecca Bailey. I'm in 6th grade at Dennis. I chose the strong group, which are the girls aged 6 through 8. We asked all the girls to keep track of how many servings of fruits and veggies they ate every day. And they kept track and reported to us for 4 weeks. For the first week, the strong girls were averaging on about 2.4 servings of fruit and 2.2 servings of veggies. On the second week, the girls consumed less than half as much fruit than the week before, which was just 1.1 servings. But for the veggies, they rose up a bit to 2.3 servings. For week 3, the strong group ate exactly 1.2 servings of fruits and veggies more than the previous week, leaving them at 2.3 servings of fruit and 3.5 of veggies. For the last week, week 4, they evened it out with an average of 3 servings each of fruits and veggies. The goal was to average about 3 servings of fruit and 4 of veggies, so that means the girls met their goal for fruits and nearly met the goal for veggies. Either way, we're all very proud of them. And now for the smart group, the lovely J. Marie.
My name's J. Marie Edwards, and I did the Smart Girls in their grades 3 through 5, and they met their goal with 3 servings of fruits and 4 servings of veggies. And for week 1, they had 1.8 and 0.6 for fruits and veggies, and they started out fine, but like not getting there. But for week 2, they got ahead in fruits and a little less in veggies with 2.5 in fruits and 1.4 in veggies. And by week 3, they made it past their goal with 3.9 in fruits and for veggies 4.3. And for the last week, they kind of got lower. For fruits 3.2 and for veggies 2.0. And they did a great job, and it was like we were super proud of the group, and we thought they did an excellent job. And now it's the awesome Naomi's turn again.
So we decided that exercising would be a pretty big part of the Let's Move program. So we came up with a goal of 2,000 steps per week, and we could count them thanks to Reed Hospital and their generous donation of the pedometers. So to start off, one of the groups made it to 2,000 steps, but they were walking. That's pretty good. And the strong girls, they had steps, more steps than the smart girls. They do have shorter legs, most of them, though, so that makes sense. And then the next week, the strong girls got over their 2,000 steps, and the smart girls still a little behind. But the third week, I was amazed by the smart girls. They got 3,000 steps, 1,000 more than our goal. And the strong girls, they beat them that week. That was a good week for them. And the fourth week, both groups almost doubled their amount of steps according to goal. That is something I was overjoyed to see, and I think they deserve a round of applause for that. And now to steal the show, Olivia.
Hi, I'm Olivia Carter, and I'd love to tell you about the t-shirts we are wearing today. First, we wrote and signed a grant to the Youth as Resources donors. That's pretty cool. And we didn't know if we were going to get the donation or not, but we ended up getting it, so that's a plus. Another thing we didn't know is what we were going to do with the donation. So we decided to put some sleep on it. When we came back the next Thursday, we still didn't know what to do, so we were chatting it out a little bit. And then, by the end of program time, we decided to make t-shirts. And instead of having an adult or maybe even a company make the t-shirts, we all thought that was boring. So we thought we should have a little competition to see who'd make the best t-shirt. I ended up winning, and I'm very proud of myself for it. I'm proud for all the other girls, too, because they did a really great job. Anyway, weeks flew by, and they flew by so fast. Then it was the last week, and it was kind of saddening for me because I liked seeing those girls' smiling faces every day.
Aww.
But it was the day we had to present to all the little girls and all the people who donated us. It was heart racing. My heart was beating so fast I could barely even breathe. But what we were presenting to you today is what we were presenting to them then. But instead of talking about the t-shirts, we surprised them with the t-shirts, and they loved it. I saw one girl, her face turned bright red, and I was happy for that because I like them. I worked so hard. I don't even know how many times I had to restart. I really don't. But when we first gave them the t-shirts, we had reminded them that they're so they can be healthy and stay healthy. And so they could also remind others who hadn't taken the program. And I'm really happy they like them because I love them too. Thanks. And thank you for having us here.
Well, how do you top that?
But when do you go to Washington?
Friday.
Oh, you go to Washington, and what will you do when you go to Washington?
Friday at 4 o'clock, I think. We're going to be at the White House presenting.
Oh,
gosh. Good gal. To the executive of the Let's Move program. So that's pretty
fantastic. Isn't that amazing?
And
We have our own version of bold moves here.
I think so
too.
And the Saturday, we're going to be sightseeing and seeing all the amazing things that happen down there.
Well, what a fun group to go with. You guys are.
Thanks for having us here. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Will you send us a postcard?
Let
us
know
how about
how
a
it
tweet
goes.
or something, okay?
She said yes. It's her approval.
So then what are your plans once you go to Washington? When you get back, are you going to continue this in the fall and expand it and?
Well, hopefully, because that'd be fun, but I'm not very sure. Are we?
What we were asked is to be able to go on the Washington, D.C. trip, we had to write a letter to Miss Beth. She's pretty amazing. And we had to write a letter on how we would continue to do this, not so much at Girls Inc., but everywhere, like spread the word around to be healthy, stay healthy. Because that's pretty amazing. You can be fit and all awesome like, and things we had to put in the letter is how we would, as I said, keep it going, why we think we deserve to go, things we did during the program, and the things we liked best and the things we sort of didn't like about the program. But I think about all of us love the program and love being the leaders because we are the oldest group, and all the little girls, they look up to us, and when we teach them these healthy strategies, they're going to want to follow them because they know we are too.
Nice.
Very
Great.
Nice.
Well, you are all terrific leaders and a great presentation, and we thank you for coming.
Good luck at Washington.
Thank you for
Yes.
having us.
Have fun.
I hope they get to see Michelle.
Okay, so ring the bell. I think we're done.
Time to start our meeting, I guess.
Yeah. Well, Kathy just said, I'm sure Denise Selm took names. She's gonna, is that true back there? Oh, you got it. Okay, you got it. You're gonna have a junior BPA next year. Okay, we got it.
Well, one of the things that I've noticed this evening is how well all of the kids, or young men, young women, are presenting themselves
Right.
and speaking.
Confidence.
The poise.
It's just the confidence, the poise, the speaking ability, the presentations are fabulous. They're really
Yeah.
good.
Well, thank you.
And for humor. That will also.
Encourage Austin anymore.
We want to thank the parents for coming too,
Absolutely.
because there were a number of parents with those young women, so.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Well, it's not over with.
Oh, we have more?
We're at the end of our snapshots of success, but the Charles renovation review will be an interesting presentation tonight. Mr. Mays, you want to set the stage?
Bye, guys. Good luck, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, what I'd like to do is present our Richmond Area Career Center Student Architectural Design Team, and that they worked on the presentation for Charles' renovation of 4 classrooms. And I want you to really notice the talent that we have here. So if they'll introduce themselves, and we'll get started here.
I'm Dallas Souter. I'm a junior.
My name is Dylan Thompson. I'm a junior also.
As Mr. Mays had mentioned, we are the architecture team. Mr. Mays came to RHS wanting drafters to come up with floor plans and casework for Charles Elementary. Mr. Knapp had chosen myself and Dylan to go about doing this. He chose us because we are both interested in doing architecture in the future. This, if you will look over at the screen, this is the demolition plan. This is the east wing we had mentioned in the 4 classrooms. If you look down at the bottom and the top, there are 4 doors highlighted in red. That is an example of something that is being removed due to security issues. Another thing is the casework. We are removing that to make it more sufficient for the elementary students, so they have more space to put their jackets, backpacks, and whatnot.
And this is the new additions floor plan of Charles East Wing. Right at the bottom there, we're adding the whiteboards, and then above that, the smart boards on both sides of the room.
Mm-hmm.
And the casework, there's going, as Dal said earlier, he's adding the casework in 1 shelving. Has 3 students per storage unit. And like right in the middle, on top of the casework, there's going to be a teacher desk right there. And then right there, there's going to be a special storage unit added right there as he's pointing to the screen.
Oh, I've got to look
And then below that, we're adding computer stations. And then all the new items that are being added are carpet, ceilings, painted walls, tack boards, whiteboards, casework, and computer stations.
This is an example of an elevation. As Dylan had mentioned earlier, they're adding computer stations to the new casework. If you will look right here, this is where the 3 computers are going, and they're also going to have a printer for students. Over here is a special storage unit, as Dylan had mentioned, where students can put poster boards and projects as requested by teachers. Another item being added is a sink over in this area, and another thing is the storage units, the 3 storage units.
And then this is the corridor 22. Right in the middle there, they're adding the tack board for the students' work, like papers and such. And then they're not adding. Back in the 90s, there was a wood chair rail that was added in there, and we're just continuing that. So.
Mm-hmm.
These drawings are just a few. I think, what do we have, about 15 drawings?
About 15 and hundreds of papers used.
We didn't listen to Bob when he says cut back on paper. Just to show you the quality of their work. I mean, this is quite unusual for 11th graders to present this quality of work. We've already given them to contractors, and they are bidding off of these drawings. And they've been working on them, on the drawings, on bidding for about the last week and a half, and we've had 0 questions as far as being able to understand what we're trying to get to. And so that these gentlemen are going to get into the intern program in their senior year, and they'll be an asset to any design firm that they go with, because they already have the basics. And now they can work with that design firm for their future work. They're great boys, and a great instructor too, Dean Knapp.
Okay, Ron, how did you decide what needed to be in the rooms? Did the young men interview the teachers, or did you interview the teachers?
Interviewed the teachers and principal, and that they wanted to have something similar to what we did in the 90s. Now, these classrooms, they're 25 years old, and nothing had been done to them. And so we wanted to bring them up to date. The boys made some site visits, and we made as-built drawings and dimensions and worked in what's there. We went through the whole design process that they would have to go through.
Wow.
When they get into the computer.
So Dallas and Dylan, I take it, since you used hundreds of pieces of paper, that you must have done and redone and redone again. So how did that, did you get frustrated, or?
I'd like to say no, but yeah, we got frustrated.
And so how did you work through that?
There were many times just to explain the difficulty, we had to get the original files from the original designers, and that wasn't to scale whatsoever. So we had to form it, and when you change a dimension on one thing, it messes everything else up. So we had to move those things around, and then when we get to that, then we started the demolition plan. And then we'd make a mistake on this, and he'd come over and he'd circle, you guys need to make this in red, or you need to, and we'd do it, and yeah, we got frustrated, but I enjoyed
Who was
it.
the original designer?
I don't know off the top of my head.
R.W. Clinton back in the 80s.
Okay.
It's interesting too that when we first started, we would come back and they would have floor plans with a bunch of notes on it. So I would say, okay, today all I need is a floor plan. Assuming in my mind that they would, on the computer, be able to just take that picture off and all I would see would be the floor plan. Well, I didn't understand that they didn't quite understand how that worked, so they just erased the whole drawing.
Oh, my.
And when I said, okay, now we need the other thing, then they had to redraw them again. But we learned real quick on that.
Wow.
So
What
this was
opportunity.
definitely learning.
Oh, yeah. We had never done
experience,
anything this.
hands-on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeff?
I actually got a whole set of the prints at my office, and what they didn't show you in their slides was they did a good job. You saw all the numbers that were circled. Well, the legends that go accompany those, they did a nice job of identifying what that represented, what they wanted done. So it was nice, and I think Mr. Knapp must have a knack because he got my son interested in it. So whatever they're doing, they must be doing it right. But I think this type of hands-on work, I think it's really nice because it's kind of a step towards, we talk about vocational ed and those types of things, but what's also nice, this also bridges the gap because it goes beyond vocational ed. So it gets them into the professional degree area, and so I think that's important. So it's a good stepping stone.
Absolutely.
I think too, what you didn't see is we did electrical drawings.
I was gonna say.
Plumbing drawings. We did all that,
Right.
where they had a complete set of design drawings.
Fantastic.
And we had specifications that they worked on, all the notes and things to put out for bid.
So were you able to do this during class time, or was it done?
We devoted our class time to it and some of our out-of-class time.
And I happened to take them for a week they gave up their spring break, and they came upstairs next to my office, and they worked
Oh, I saw.
8 hours a day, all week.
I might also add that their teacher spent some time during his spring break.
He took time
He
off
did.
to come up and see how they were doing, what they were doing, and he kept track of it.
Well, I'm sure you guys will be anxious to see the completed project, won't you?
Can I ask you two the same question I asked the other guys? How did you decide to be interested in this field? Like,
Well,
what did that?
I took Mr. Knapp's class when I was a freshman too, just like Steck did, and I don't know. I just found out that I like doing architectural stuff and find it interesting. So
As a kid, and currently I'm a gamer, so I wanted to do video game animation. And the closest thing RHS has at the moment is 3D modeling and 2D drawings. And I went into Mr. Knapp's class sophomore year, and I decided I really liked it. And I got pretty good with the programs, and then Mr. Mays came to the school asking for students. Mr. Knapp chose us, and here we are today.
Very good.
Nice.
Very good.
I think you've really seen the nuts and bolts, okay? Now, excuse me, now we're going to have the other boys come up because I'm stealing a little of your time here, because you have to see their presentation. I mean, you're going to be amazed at what they did. I've been in this for 50 years, and the talent that these boys have at this age level is outstanding.
This is a bonus presentation, and it's a project that you haven't seen.
Yeah,
Just
it
bear
is
with us.
amazing.
Just
But-
bear with
But
us.
you know what? I hope the newspaper is picking up on the opportunities that Richmond High School is providing for these young people.
And connecting the dots to the conversations you're having about the need for technically trained.
Absolutely.
Now, to add to that, these students are a product of what Richmond Community Schools is all about. And they've been here from kindergarten to President 8. He's been here since what, fourth grade? You gentlemen have been here?
I've been here
All the
since
way since
kindergarten.
I mean, these are products of Richmond Community Schools.
It's fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Say we both turned out pretty well.
You know what?
Well, we would agree.
It'll make the rest of what we have to do
But it
tonight.
depends on whether this come in budget or not.
Okay, we're ready.
So, as Mr. Mays and the rest of them said, we did the Tech Prep Showcase in Skills USA, and basically what that requires is that you take a hypothetical problem in your community and create a solution using your given skills. So we decided to take that hypothetical problem and actually use a more real-world problem. We used the Career Center parking lot at the high school is currently where all of the buses go for the end of school. And so we decided to create a new bus drive. And I think now Dallas will talk about the existing plan.
The existing plan is over on the left, as you can see, as he had mentioned, with the parking lot, you have buses and you have students and teachers and other people parking in that area. And it can be potentially potential issue, so to speak. Oh, I apologize. It could be a potential issue. You would have students crossing over the street, cars going through, buses going through in a crowded area. People backing out, could lead to wrecks or anything along that nature. So we decided that we should come up with a new plan that would save that potential issue from happening.
So what we decided was to create an entirely separate bus drive for all of the students' busings, and we decided to make it directly outside of the cafeteria where there would be more open space for us to use, and also a larger exit door so that people aren't being funneled through two doors. So as you see, we've eliminated as few parking spots as possible so that we can still use the Career Center parking lot at the bottom of the picture. And this design right now is enough to hold around 11 full-size school buses, and we are actually now working with Maze Design and Mr. Inderstrutt to come up with not only estimates as far as costs, but also making it more real-world usable. For instance, we've begun to now make the radiuses larger for the turn-ins and the curb cuts, and the actual width of the driveway we are changing. And now if we go on to the next. These are some of the renderings that we are able to do through the computer program. So as you can see, the main part of this bus drive is the colonnade along the east side, and the arches that make up most of the colonnade are supposed to reflect the arches in the windows on the front side of the school, which is a good way of tying the whole project in and really building on the historical aspect of the building. And also the arches we've designed so that if need be, we can create them one at a time and add on to them from the sides as financial needs arise. And so in the very center then we have the main entrance, which is more elevated and also projects out over onto the bus drive, which would protect people getting off buses and also really emphasizes where the entrance to the building is. Now I think Austin will talk about our actual state competition.
We went to Skills USA State, which we placed, and there was 5 different groups that went. We decided that we wanted to go as a group, and we wanted to make sure that everyone knew our plan, so we got a little thing together, and we made sure that we had a poster, nice and vinylized, and we presented to just one person. There was only one woman in the room, and we had our presentation in the center, and we talked. Throughout the entire thing, she just sat there and took notes. We were very nervous, to say the least. So we're sitting there and we're going over all the things that we did, and she said, "All right, that'll be all." And she said, I have no questions. You guys did pretty good." So we left, and we had the entire next day. We did not know how things were going to place out, and then we find out during the national ceremony that we actually got first. Wow. So I thought that was pretty good.
Real good.
No, we can get better. So going on to nationals, we have to create a feasible and physical model that we can actually present.
Oh, wow.
So with me working at A-House Tool and Engineering, I've got a lot of experience in CAD software. So I have made a 3-dimensional model on the computer, of course, thanks to the help of Mr. Knapp. He's helped me with a lot of questions that I've had, along with Russell telling me where to place what. He is the leader on this project. The big thing that I have had to do is we ran through a couple designs where we want to make a mold, so if one breaks, we can constantly make new ones, or if we want to make just the model itself. So after making the 3-dimensional model, I have transformed it into a STL format, which I could send to a company which makes a rapid prototype, which is actually made of SLA plastic, so it's pretty durable, and it's actually going to be about 9 inches tall just for the pillars. It's going to be a pretty decent model, and we're only going to do the center arch and 2 semicircle arches on the sides. That way it's not, the entire 300 foot. It's just, a small model. Thought that'd be pretty
So if we vote to do this, will it give you a leg up at the national competition? That you've already sold this, what did you say, Russell?
Definitely would.
I think it would please all of us if we.
Wow.
That is just awesome. I
We
just
used that today, because right when buses were
Yeah.
loading, it was raining
We have a
really
couple
hard.
other schools we need.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Is this lighted? Are these arches lighted?
The arches aren't lighted, but the tops of the arches are frosted glass so that you still get the sunlight coming through, but you're still protected from the elements.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And so what are those red,
The
metal?
the red beams are iodized aluminum, which would then provide some structure to it. And actually, the overhangs are slanted backwards enough that any rain that gets onto them will form at the apex, and then there is a hole at the back of the arches where the rain will flow back into the lawn instead of going out onto the driveway.
Oh, that's awesome.
Now, you have that, you have a peak there, you have like a triangle there, and it goes back to an arch. Why did you not design that front piece as an arch?
I mainly did that to be more like the entrance doors at the front of the school, where we have the
There
have
are stone arches.
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean, stone.
pyramids. So.
Yeah. Well, you know, one other reason for doing that, I was in that parking lot when a diploma student was bringing a baby in, and there were people and this and that. And I mean, it is dangerous.
Yes.
So you have real anecdotes of issues there.
Mhm.
Wow. So when will we know how much this is going to cost?
We are currently talking with Mr. Inderstrutt, who I think is contacting some contractors to figure out prices as far as the stucco and bricks that are used to make the arches and pillars, that sort of thing.
Wow.
You know, the only thing that reason why we're doing this work is they're promising that when they all go to school, they're coming back to Richmond, Indiana.
That's great.
Because we need the talent of these young boys.
How is it that you picked that project? That's one thing I missed. Like, what made, because clearly you needed an,
Mhm. Well, I think it really combines my desire to do more architectural things, and also Austin's desire to do more engineering. AutoCAD, this gave him the opportunity to use a 3D printer, which I think he's really enjoying. And so.
But do you have you seen a need for a different approach to the way our buses are routed?
There is definitely a need for something a little bit different.
Would you like me to answer that? I've been back here for 11 years.
We have a lot of different things going on at the same time in a tiny parking lot. It's a nice parking lot, but it doesn't fit for what we have now. We have too many kids, and we have 2 doors that people go through. And I don't know if you've seen, but they're practically those doors right there. They're very tiny to fit 300 kids through 1 door. It's a little difficult. So with this, we have a set of 4 doors on the other side, which leads into the high school, and then we have the 2 on the career education doors, which people are still going to use because you have student parking there, you have teacher parking there, staff parking there, substitute teachers. Everyone that needs to park there is still able to park there, but this way it gives everyone a little bit room. Because you have kids that their parents drop them off in the back as well, that seems to be a big problem because you have people unloading from cars, and you always get that one car that pulls in between the buses and holds everything up.
Yep.
So.
They're absolutely right. I mean, the exiting, the problems with, the safety problems with students, parents, buses, I mean, they're right on.
It's an excellent proposal.
Well, we'll look forward to the pricing.
We'll make sure we email it to you.
that's an exceptional plan. I love it.
Yeah, that is amazing.
Great job. Thank you very much.
That's really cool.
I know. These are just amazing.
Could someone turn the lights up?
Do we have to do work now?
Really, we could just do that all night.
We're doing this.
It's so,
I mean, we're teaching these.
yeah.
Our-
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And who knows, that may be serious business in the not too distant future. But tonight, we're looking at some immediate issues that require some action. And for the high school athletic field, football bleachers and press box, we turn to Mr. Coddington to present a proposal for the bids.
Thank you. The Richmond High School athletic field renovation of the football bleachers and the press box were received on Tuesday, the 14th. Notice to the bidders was published in the Palladium item on April 26th and 3rd. Proof of publication is on file in our business office. We recommend that the Richmond athletic field football bleachers and press box bid is awarded to the Lee Company of Terre Haute, Indiana, with a low bid of $178,500, meeting bid specifications as presented.
Okay, do I have a
So moved.
motion? Pat Heine makes the motion and
Second.
seconded by Suzanne Darengowski. Comments and questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Thank you. The synthetic turf bids were received on Tuesday, May 14th. The bids were published in the Palladium item on the 26th of April and May 3rd. Their proof of publication is in our office. We ask the board to accept the following recommendation, that the athletic field synthetic turf bid be awarded to Spin Turf LLC of Atlanta, Georgia, at the low case base bid of $489,200, meeting the bid specifications as presented.
Do I have a motion? Kelly Baumgartner makes the motion, seconded by Jeff Slifer. Comments or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Thank you.
We're not even to action items yet.
Now we are ready for reports and discussion topics.
Our first report has to do with an update on the C.R. Richardson building. And we have a few people involved in this tonight, but I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Mays at this point to talk about some of the considerations we're facing at the C.R. Richardson building.
Thank you very much. One of the first things we have to do is we have to change the use from a K-12 building to a B occupancy, which is what secondary education is, beyond high school education is. And then it's an A occupancy for the YMCA in there, and we're in the process of doing that as we speak. The other requirement that we have to have are sprinklers. Because of the type of building it is, it can't be grandfathered in. So this is new code requirements, and we're in the process of obtaining numbers for that so that we can get that started. All this has to be completed by August the 2nd. They start school on the 19th of August for the usage of the building. We're going to go in and we're going to clean, as we have at Vale and Westview, all the coils for the classroom unit ventilators. We're going to repair the ones that we have to repair because some of them are a little bit noisy. We're going to put, which was scheduled prior to us closing CR, we're just going back to the plan of putting a roof on the building, similar to what we did at Hibbard, and that's scheduled to be in there this summer, and that's what our responsibilities are.
Okay, thank you. Now, recently, Mr. Coddington has had negotiations with the Excel Center, Goodwill Industries, and also with the YMCA. And for an update on some of that work, Mr. Coddington.
Not being an expert on leasing, I want to publicly thank Rep. Baumgartner for the hour that he spent with me, giving me some pointers and to help with this. And it's been an enlightening experience. It's been a good experience. We have tentatively come to a verbal agreement with both the YMCA and the Excel Goodwill Group on lease arrangements. We've defined what our responsibilities will be and what their responsibilities will be. what money that they are bringing to the table and what money that we are bringing to the table. So I feel very good that this is a collaborative effort, that all three parties have some skin in the game here, and upon completion and execution of these leases, bringing them to you for approval and having a long relationship with both entities. Very, very briefly, our responsibilities generally will be paying the utilities, snow removal, lawn care, HVAC, heating and air conditioning, roof, the sprinkler system, and the major responsibilities to the building, which is still our building. Their responsibilities, and that's both the Y and the Excel group, will providing custodial supplies and custodial day-to-day services within that building. Internal renovations and upgrades that they want to do with the approval of Richmond Community Schools will be at their cost. Phone connectivity, the ongoing responsibility of that will be their responsibility, not ours. So upon the execution of this lease, we're looking forward to a long relationship.
I also know out in the audience, we have some representatives of the Excel Center, and I will apologize to the group. I don't have the names of the representatives, but we do know one.
I was just gonna say.
We do know one,
It looks
and if he would
remarkably
like to actually introduce the group to us, I welcome them to come forward because it's an example of the commitment that they've already made to the future of the program. Mr. Stewart, would you like to make introductions for us?
Why not? All right, first we have Erica.
Come to the microphone,
I'm
though.
sorry. Sorry. Didn't know if you could hear me. First we have Erica Haskins, will be the director. We have Rachel McWaters. I thought it was McWaters. She will be our lead teacher. And then we have Alexis Waters, who will be our lead coach at the Excel Center.
What are you going to do, Tyler?
I will also be a coach at the Excel Center, so.
Well, we welcome you tonight because we understand that it is a demonstration of commitment to the program. Can you talk about some of the first steps that we'll be seeing to put in forward motion preparations for the program?
Sure. So a big focus for me as a director right now is really developing some community partnerships with social service agencies and agencies that can support our students just as we do in their educational goals, but also bridge that gap to college or career, which is really our main focus. We're not a diploma factory. We really want to make sure that the students that we graduate are on a path to success, and that means post-secondary education or career. So that's my main focus right now, is getting to know the community of Richmond and seeing how we can prepare our students to serve in the community.
Linda,
Yes.
how will you recruit students? How do you find them?
So that's unique. So I'll be reaching out to social service agencies that typically provide support. So the township trustee, people that receive subsidized housing or other social service supports, because that's typically where our population we will draw from.
Mm-hmm. How many do you hope to have this fall?
So our enrollment goal is 318 by count day. Mm-hmm.
By what day?
Count day
Count day.
in September.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You have one of those too, huh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Would
We have already provided some information to help them begin the process of looking at particular clientele.
Mm-hmm. Would you explain what a coach does?
Yeah, actually, I think I'll have Alexis explain what a coach does, because she's one of the best.
So you can think of a life coach as a mix of a guidance counselor, a social worker, a friend. I'm a mental health counselor. We do a variety of things. Our main focus is our academic advising, the social emotional piece, and then it's become a lot data driven. We're working on something called the data warehouse that'll take that load off the coaches a little bit more so that they can focus on building those relationships. But our motto at Goodwill is relationships, relevance, and rigor. So the coach is the bread and butter. We keep the student in school. We're calling them when they're absent. We're we're getting them help with their utilities when they get cut off. We're keeping them in the classroom. We're the liaison between the center and the student. So.
Do they realize we're on TV and that's an excellent marketing tool? So you might want to say, how can people get a hold of you?
Yeah. I have cards. I can say my number right now.
Go ahead.
We don't even have a phone number.
Call Erica Haskins.
No, don't call my phone. No, the best way to get site information right now is on our website, and they can see all locations for the Excel Center. So www.theexcelcenter.org. And actually, there's an opportunity to apply and enroll online, which is really where we direct interested students to
What
do
about
that.
interested teachers? Do you have room?
Interested teachers need to go to the Goodwill Indy site, and I would love to speak with those interested teachers.
We're looking right now at the Warner Building as a temporary location. We're not so sure that will work, but we're exploring those options. That would be
During the renovation, you mean?
during the renovation time this summer, and this would give them a place to work from that would be accessible to walkers and drivers
Sure.
alike.
It's already set up to
Mm-hmm.
handle that.
But we haven't, this is the first time that I've had a chance to see the staff, and it is wonderful to see you here.
So are you all coming from other Excel centers?
Actually, right now, these two wonderful ladies will work with me at the Excel Center Meadows. So that's on the east side of Indianapolis. And then Tyler works at the Excel Center Franklin Road, which is also on the east side of Indianapolis.
You know, the library has a plethora of computers, and the clientele there, as I hear from the library staff, would be really useful. That information would be useful. And then they'd have the computer right there. So when people don't have computers, that would work.
Well, we certainly welcome you and want
Give
to
them
partner with you and help in whatever
Today
way
we spent at Ivy Tech.
we can be
You're a
of
great
support.
asset to Richmond.
Absolutely. You were the topic of a lot of conversation today, even though we didn't know who you were.
Oh, boy.
So
And
thank you
we're
very
really
much.
proud of the gentleman in the group, just so you know.
Yeah, just so you know.
Oh.
And we're glad to.
Good call. Really good call.
Thank you very much,
Thank
and
you.
best wishes. Look forward to a lot of cooperation.
Today I was at that skill
Okay.
Dr. Morf, we need I need some administrative direction.
What's that?
I need some administrative direction with this to do the sprinkling system and about between $225,000 and $250,000 worth of renovation, which is no surprise. We've had that on the contingency plan. I need to ask, we have the cash in CPF, we have the we have the appropriation in CPF, but we have the appropriation in the wrong places. So we have to do an amendment to our CPF plan to get this $250,000 into the CR building so we can do the renovations. And what I need tonight, should the board be so willing, is permission to advertise a hearing. And I would suggest that we have this hearing June 5th, because if on the 5th, after the hearing, we would approve the amendment to the CPF plan, which then we have to send to the auditor's office for 10 days to see if there's a remonstrance, to very similar to our budgeting process. Then after 10 days waiting for no remonstrance, we send it to the DLGF, who then has 30 days to approve the amendment changes to give us the authority to spend money that, with a little luck, we're going to be in the process of very quickly to have it done. It would be July 20th before we'd probably get the final approval if we do this time schedule and it has to be completed by April 2nd. So there's going to probably be a little bit of.
August 2nd.
Or August 2nd, pre-med. Does that make sense, what I just said? Everything's going to be approved. We're not doing anything to the tax rates. We're not asking for an additional appropriation. We're just asking for a shifting of the appropriation from 5 different buildings that it will not be spent in to the CR.
So this is a hearing on amending the CPF plan.
That is correct.
All
And
right.
tonight,
That
we're just
makes
asking
sense.
permission to advertise a public hearing.
For a hearing.
To discuss what that would be.
Well, June the 5th is not a regular board meeting,
Yeah, because it's the
and
first.
it is, we're having a retreat that evening.
So it'd be the 12th.
And so,
Could the retreat be, could we have the hearing, how long do you think this hearing would last?
Well, if everybody shows up, 10 minutes.
It shouldn't be a very lengthy time. I agree, it shouldn't be very long.
Right, it shouldn't be very long, and the other thing we could do in this hearing, if we have we could, not in the hearing, but in this meeting, would be to approve the contracts that we hope to have ready from the Y and the XL Center.
Now, that could take a little longer.
Yeah.
well,
Okay.
also, I guess, I'm speaking for me. I just feel as though it would be nice to have a little more information about, I understand about the, what our responsibilities are and so forth, but I guess I'd like to have a little more information about the,
We would hope to be getting all this information beforehand. And the only reason I suggested the 5th, this is one of those rare weeks that it's 3 weeks between meetings instead of 2. If it was 2 meetings, I wouldn't be, or 2 weeks, I wouldn't be recommending. any
well,
change.
and I don't know how the rest of the board feels. It's just that we have scheduled the retreat, and it's kind of hard when you get involved in something to
Pull away.
break from it, and then, you lose your momentum and your thoughts and everything. And so, I wonder
it at
if
the
we could
beginning?
work something else out.
Could we do it at the beginning of the meeting before we get into?
I was going there when it was just a CPF amendment, but I don't know if that would work as we're talking about the 2 bids.
Okay.
Well, my 2 cents worth
Lease
is
agreements.
we've got to find some kind of balance between timing and time to do our due diligence. Part of the reason why we're late is it's not our fault. I mean, we were ready to move forward earlier. I find it hard. I don't have a problem with a hearing because you have options to change and you don't have to go through it. But I would have a problem with approving any contracts or moving forward until I've read the lease and we've executed it. So, how do we balance the timing?
Well, we wouldn't plan to execute the lease until it was approved.
Well, but he's talking about receiving bids to start the project on the sprinkler system, which is only needed if we approve the contract for the change of use. So, one drives another. So, I think having the lease information out, having financial pro forma data, all that kind of stuff, because in our original discussion, the sprinkler system, we've known about the sprinkler system because of the change of use. I think originally, though, they were going to pay for the sprinkler system and not us. At least that's what the information I remember. So it's a lot different about Excel Center spending the money for a $250,000 sprinkler system than it is us. But the bad thing about this, the other caveat is, we're out of time. you know, if we wait too much time, they're probably not going to be able to get the sprinkler system installed. So we've got to figure out some way to balance all of this. So I don't know the
We
answer.
don't have the information to do that, but the legal need to advertise a hearing is what he's asking for right now,
For right now.
Correct.
for right now. Which,
Also asking about the contracts.
But he was talking about the bids the same night.
Yes.
We can go ahead and do the first part and
The hearing that we need to advertise, if you would give us approval just to move forward on a hearing to be determined, the time at which to be determined by working with all of you on a time that would be, you'd all be
Suitable,
available,
okay.
even as early as next week. You know, we can go through the Moodle and try to determine what date we would be doing that on. And we have, I think we have the contracts almost ready to go, do we not?
I don't,
Yes,
we think we do, no. We're only one side of the contract.
Sure. As far as the actual contract form that we would propose, we are almost there, so we could provide that within the next couple days. But if we could have just a tentative or an approval to go forward to find the date for the hearing and to advertise once we do.
I
Okay,
can make
so
that
could
motion.
you clarify for me again exactly what's going to take place on this evening?
The hearing would be for the purpose of amending the CPF plan. The second part of that meeting, which would not be the hearing itself, would be to approve the two contracts, one with the YMCA and one with Goodwill Industries.
could that be done at the next board meeting then, the following week?
No, I think they're
We would-
thinking that is too
late.
doesn't give
So
them enough
it needs
time.
that week, we need to do it within that
It'd
week.
be all on the same night, same meeting,
Okay,
First
so
part
we're
would
not
be the
gonna do
hearing.
it on the,
and then the second part would be those contract approvals.
hearing the concerns, I could make the motion that we would like for you to find a date for this type of meeting with the, I think with the instruction that we need the contract information as soon as possible, right?
Well, yeah, there's no way that I could go forward
Yeah.
without reading the con. I guess I need to throw something else out there too, because we've not really discussed we can discuss this now because it's been in the paper. Part of my concern in the beginning about this use of the C.R. Richardson building, now that the Galileo appeal has come back supported, you know, I've heard rumors of anywhere from 150 to 230 students. So I guess I'm kind of, I'm trying to look at this in several different ways, but I guess I just need to make sure the Excel Center is something that I see is good for the community. But I also feel my first priority as a board member is for Richmond Community Schools in hopes that it supports the community. Are we gonna are we gonna have enough room to house, let's make an assumption that we pick up 60% of the students? That's part of the discussion that we haven't even had yet.
We asked for information from Kevin Hanley last week and received information. He gave us 174 students. We don't have the names of those students, but we do have the locations of their residents and their grade levels. We
That's
have
what their enrollment is?
174.
174?
Wow, that's 60 down.
It's far below what has been publicized out in the community. But we don't know how many of those other students might be out of district students. We don't know if they didn't provide those or just what. 174 names. So what we've done, we have plotted where those 174 students live. We have looked at the enrollment of the schools, and what we see is we have plenty of seats. I think, Jeff, you pointed out, we had 200 some.
We weren't sure if they'd be
True.
in the right places, though.
And
place.
they're not perfectly aligned. But what we also have suggested through this study is that we use Fairview as the place where if the students aren't able to get into their buildings, that's where we would have them. For one thing, Fairview has the room.
Capacity.
Fairview is nicely situated for the overflow, and those students who couldn't get into their buildings would then be with classmates together. So it would be very easy to avoid using C.R. Richardson for that purpose. In fact, many of them don't live in the former C.R. Richardson district. They live in Crestdale. They live in the Vale district. Most of them can be easily accommodated in their home schools.
Well, my thought was more because of the time frame again. I mean, everything seems to be delayed this year.
Yeah.
Every answer that we've been waiting on for everything has been delayed. But my thought was more of, pick up and transplant just the whole student body, then give us a year to figure out what we're doing. I just
We
want to
would-
make sure that we're,
We would not recommend that as an approach.
Nope.
Because they are our students and they need to be assimilated into our buildings, not as a segregated group, but as part of our kids.
Yep.
now, one of the questions that I have with the change of use is once we reclassify this building and give it a change of use, now, does that prohibit us from changing the use back to an elementary school later?
No. But we would have to sprinkle the building.
That's right, that's right.
But now we're doing that anyway.
Then we could turn it back to a K-12.
As long as, well, which we're already
We're
doing. I mean, but the only reason we're required to sprinkle it now is because of the change of use for the tenants, the proposed tenant.
Would we have had to sprinkle that if we did a major renovation there? That was one thing I was, I kind of thought that too, that, because it would have, if we had done a major renovation and left it as a K whatever building. Okay, I kind of thought that was true.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about what our needs are, the board's needs are, in order to help move forward with a date. Because I'm thinking that I need more than just the lease. The lease really isn't going to help me a whole lot if I don't have the financial responsibilities of Richmond Community Schools so that I can.
Well, that would be,
Isn't that all outlined in the lease?
Is that,
It's in the lease, and I'm preparing documents already to show you absolutely everything and be able to hopefully answer any questions.
right, the fiscal responsibility that Richmond Schools is going to acquire? And so you will be prepared to give that to us before we, okay. so-
Very quickly.
Okay, so are there any other needs that any of you would like to see included?
a lease implies they're going to pay for the use of that building. This is not a one-sided gift to them. And so we assume the budget for, not just our responsibility,
right,
but
the
the whole
budget,
budget
that's-
for is probably what we're asking for.
Exactly, okay. So is there anything else that any of you can think of that you would like to request?
I would be curious to know, and I'm assuming it probably be in there, if we can handle putting that building back online with the current support staff that we have. So you said mowing, maintenance, and just making sure
It's
that.
being mowed now, that's been outsourced.
Right.
That continues, so that doesn't change.
But I guess just making sure that we have that we know that.
We haven't reduced any
It wouldn't
snow removal
change.
staff, so we're still doing the snow removal. The sidewalks, on the other hand, we don't have a custodian there. That's why we have it as their responsibility during the tenant's responsibility during the winter.
Okay.
So I've made very sure that this lease is put together that doesn't add additional manpower
That's
hours.
what I was going for.
hours to
Okay.
us.
Now, I've also kind of heard rumors that initially we were talking about a 5-year lease, but you said that's changed?
Mhm.
And it's changed to,
Well, with the Excel Center, it would be a 2-year, because their funding mechanism has changed by virtue of decisions made by the General Assembly. So they can't go beyond a 2-year lease. The YMCA, on the other hand, is looking at a multi-year lease, probably beyond 5 years. Is it
They
5?
wanted a 5-year lease with a 5-year renewable, and the lease that we're proposing with the other is a 2-year with a 2-year renewable, so we would have.
So we will have both of the lease agreements at, soon?
Yes.
With, okay, so both of the lease agreements, the budget, is there anything else? That,
well, I think it's important. I think it would be important, and whether this comes from Dr. Borf or from the Excel Center. And I'm going to bring this up again. Sorry, don't mean to sound negative, but in a sense, I'd like to have a little better understanding of the rationale why this is such a great deal. I mean, I hear everybody talk about this is good for the community and it's good for our adults that need to get an education. But again, looking at it from the Richmond Community Schools Board perspective, we are creating a competitor and a source for over 100 students that we currently have at the high school. So I guess, although I know, and I believe them, I've talked to them enough to know that their goal is not to target and steal students and that type of stuff. But I guess I would like to have a better understanding of why this is such a great thing.
so a rationale
I'll be glad to give that again.
for, and how it's going to impact Richmond Community Schools and the community.
Right.
Is that, okay? So,
They're ready to give it
Okay.
right now.
Dr. Borf, she wanted to speak.
If you would like to
I say-
recognize her.
Do you,
I say go. for it.
sure, come on down.
While we have you here, I think that's
I
appropriate.
think that would be wonderful for you to,
Sure. So basically, from the assessment I've seen from our marketing director, we've identified that there are over 6,000 individuals within your city limits without a high school diploma. So that's our target audience. By no means are Richmond Community School students our target audience. It's those individuals that are living within Richmond right now without a high school diploma, with no opportunities for upward mobility, none. And so filling that gap for students who are, you know, even just past 18 to 19 or 20, you're over age, but under, we call them over-unders, under where you should be in terms of grade level. And we need to get you on track fast. Just improve the quality of life. It may not become easy quickly, but it can be a lot more comfortable. And we want that for everybody.
We were mentioning that part of the rationale is that, remember, some of us on this board recall 2006, 2007, whatever the date was, when we were the dropout factory, and those kids are now 18, they're 21, 22, 23, 24. They're the people you're targeting, the folks from that era. So we know they're out there.
And when we see students that are, because we've encountered this with Indianapolis schools, see students that are trying to make a direct transfer from a public school, we actually have a pretty serious counseling session to advise them out of that decision and encourage them to stay in their public school, whether it's their boundary school or the charter school that they're coming from. Just because when you are a younger student, our model isn't built to serve you. Our model isn't built to do that. And so we have a pretty heavy counseling session, and we bring in a parent if we need to at that point to encourage them not to enroll in the Excel Center. Just because we've seen that our model is built for an adult student, and that's when it works best. If that's
Thank you.
helpful.
It is
That is
helpful.
very helpful.
Everything is helpful at this point.
Thank you.
Yeah,
We
no
appreciate that. Okay, so are we feeling comfortable to at least make a motion to try to arrange a meeting date.
Well, and once we get that meeting date,
Goes under
to
the ambiguous
advertise a
motion
hearing on that
category.
date.
Yeah, correct. And Mr. Cross, do you have anything to add to this conversation?
No?
Okay. So- Well, I mean, obviously, we need to make sure your calendar is clear, I'm assuming.
I don't know
Is
that I
it-
would need to be there at the
Okay,
meeting to amend the capital projects fund, but you will have the lease the documents well enough in advance that if you have any questions, you know what my phone number.
okay.
Right.
And I would intend to, if it's not the same meeting, I would still intend to be there probably.
Okay. So, Mr. Connington, would you like to form your recommendation so we can get moving here?
Are you sure what it is?
Yes. I don't have a date to form my recommendation,
No,
but if
no,
I
that's
have a
what
date,
we're actually
my
doing.
recommendation would be permission to, tonight, I'm just, permission to advertise for a public hearing to amend the capital projects plan on
Once a date is determined.
Or whatever date is
Boodle
available.
Well,
And then we'll have a
It can't
sep-
be whatever's available,
Oh.
but we have to, what you're doing.
It's got to
is-
be between the 5th and the 12th, because you have to, once we have to
Okay.
get it to the paper, and then you have to wait 10 days after the advertising to give people.
Okay,
time.
so between the 5th and the 12th
Yes.
of June. Okay? Do I have a
Okay.
motion?
Yeah.
So moved by Pat Heine and seconded by Kelly Baumgartner. Comments or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our second report is on the status of our Chinese program initiative. Misty Hollis has been working very feverishly on this, and I'll just turn it over to her.
Thank you, Dr. Borf. You received a memo in your packet that gave you outlining dates. We've been able to be more confirming on dates of when our teachers will be leaving and going to China and serving there, and then also dates of when we will be receiving students. So I want to just kind of briefly walk through that with you because I know we have a long way to go yet tonight. So for Charles Elementary, the journey for them begins on June 22nd, where we will have Mrs. Andrews as the teacher and two teachers as the principal, and two teachers that will be visiting their sister school. And they will be building relationships while they're there with parents and with teachers and with community leaders. They, at that time, will meet the children that will be coming here in August. So that relationship happens and begins June 22nd. July 13th to July 28th, you see the list of the teachers in that memo that will be actually teaching summer school in a different location and participating there. There's still details that have to be worked out. Jessica, who is our contact for this, will be here next week, I believe, and meeting with those teachers and finalizing all of those details. We then move into our relationship with the students, and we have some delegations that will be coming. The delegation for Charles at this particular time, we are looking at August 16th to the 22nd, where there will be 13 students, young students, that will be coming and be shadowing students at Charles. We are setting up host homes. We are asking for host homes for Charles families because that will be their life while they're here, is at Charles, and they will be here for about a week in Richmond. Then for the high school side of things, we have right now 9 students, and I think that's what our number is, 9 students that will have shown interest to come to Richmond High School and be here for a year. We have 3 or 4 seniors, and then we have a few juniors and I think 2 freshmen that will be here for that year. We have already seen 3 of the students. They came and visited and shadowed for a day at the high school. They obviously felt the high school was very big, but it didn't intimidate them too much. The students that were with them that day really made it easy for them in their transition. and they were excited about their experience. August 17th to September 6th, there will be an estimated amount of 20 high school students that will be here in Indiana, not just Richmond, but this will be their base. Will be in Indiana, looking at the high school. This is kind of our time and the program's time that we have a relationship with to interview the students, watch the students, and see if they're should be accepted and extended an offer to come back and be here the following year. So it's their trial run, and they know that they're going to be tested. They're going to actually have tests that they have to do here, speaking, speeches they have to perform. I mean, there's a whole itinerary where they have to prove themselves that they can be here in Indiana and in Richmond particularly during that time. So there are two main pieces that we're still completing. One is our application to serve for international students. And the really great thing about this application is it will give us an opportunity. Earlham brings a lot of students and staff here, especially Earlham School of Religion and Bethany. And so it will open up an opportunity for students to come with their families. And we're excited about that. We have already received a couple of calls from people that are connected to Earlham with their children wanting to come with them. And so this could really open up a great opportunity for us at Richmond Community Schools. We have gone through the two phases of that, one being a site visit, the application, the payment for the application. We had to have a site visit by Immigration and Customs. We did pass that. And we are waiting on final approval. It has a case manager. They're reviewing our case at this particular time. And then the second piece is finding host families. So for those that are watching tonight, if you are still awake and not watching the Pacers game, we are eager to offer you an opportunity to host our youth, whether it's for the 3 weeks or for the students that will be here for a year. And I would encourage you to call me at central office here, and I would love to talk to you about it. And that opportunity is extended to you as well as board members. Yeah, I think that's good.
Are there any requirements of, I'm being serious.
Yeah.
Are there any requirements for the host families?
Well, the requirements are that we obviously would love for the host families to have students in our school system already. It just makes it easier for them to assimilate and be here and enjoy their experience if they're with other students. So that is a request. It's not a requirement. We will have an application process. There will be some background checks that we need to do. And then there will be some interviewing and some orientation that will be required of them as well.
Okay. I think that's important to know.
The question I have, we have other foreign exchange students in our high school, is that correct? Will there still be other exchange students next year?
Yes.
And what's
the difference?
What's the difference, and who runs that other program?
Yeah, it's a separate organization, and so they funnel through that organization.
Right, and they're not all from one country, are
Right.
they?
It's not kind of our program that we're sponsoring.
Right.
And this is something that we're taking responsibility for.
Mhm.
It's pretty intense. I mean, we have to report to Immigration and Customs on the students regularly, their grades, their attendance.
Right.
It's a very intense process, but I think it's worth our time to move forward.
I think so too.
Is it in bad taste to ask what the earning potential might be for this particular project? I know it's delightfully educationally wonderful, but
The earning potential for the
yes,
Richmond Community Schools?
revenue, yes,
In this first year, it wouldn't be terribly profitable.
right.
It would be financially, I think programmatically, it would
Absolutely.
be rich. And the impact on our academic expectations would be very, very rich. But with 9 students, no, there's
Right.
very little.
I was thinking more future forward.
Well, it could, what we have discussed is that in the future, there will be a cost or a fee charged that would enable us to set some funding aside for some of our students to do some traveling, or teachers to do some traveling in an exchange effort with Chinese sister schools. So that's what we envision in the future. With 9 students coming this first year, I don't imagine we would be able
No,
to
and I understand that.
too
I
much
was just
aside.
curious if, it seems to be a trend. Schools, we talked to several schools.
Right, school board.
And even in Indiana, to sort of do the boarding school thing almost. And so I was curious, I'm thinking that there's a revenue potential there, which is probably why it's being done. And I was just
For
curious.
4-year, if we actually involve ourselves in a 4-year program, there will probably be some dorm arrangements. I mean, we've already discussed that with Jessica Yu, and she has indicated that they're interested in a dorm situation if it goes to that level. We would like to see it go to that level, but we're getting the cart before the horse.
I know it's
We have to
very
get
early.
this
I was
first
just curious.
year under our belts.
Okay.
Our third topic, after we've moved from what we had as an action item, is textbook adoption. And I turn to Mr. Millis to discuss with you some thoughts on our discussion, or our thoughts on our literacy, and the future probably of one-to-one, and how that might impact what we're going to be recommending.
Thank you, Dr. Borth. You all received a memorandum from me, which was listed under reports and discussion topics. And the purpose really is to kind of bring you up to date on our committees that have been meeting and what they're seeing and what they would recommend, and also has some background on what the new adoption recommendation might be. So in June, I will be bringing to you recommendation on language arts, other textbook fees adjustments, and looking for approval at that time, so we are prepared for next year. Just a little background, a lot has changed in the last 2 years in textbook adoption. The first thing that's changed is at the state level, they overall do not post, they do not approve at the state level books in general. They do not post those, require you to select from 5 or 6 editions, and it's pretty much wide open. And I think a lot of that had to do with changes nationally in curricula moving to a digital format, and also allowing schools flexibility to adopt their own curriculum items. However, in reading, counter to that, one area that we must adopt and recommend is in reading at our elementary buildings. That has to be a scientific-based reading program referred to as SBRR, and there are textbook editions and publishers that are approved for that. The last couple of years, we have been using a pilot, Pearson Edition 2011, in our reading program. And so for our K-4 committee, the obligation was to evaluate that, to decide whether or not we wanted to continue with that adoption, and also to evaluate the updated 2013 edition and other editions, and whether or not we would recommend to move to a different publisher. After we evaluated, the state does provide recommendations and ratings, and so we used those to start, and then began to look at the 2 or 3 that were recommended highly. From that, we pretty much came to the conclusion that Pearson 2013 received the highest ratings overall, and also had additions and updates to it that our teachers liked. Those included updated teacher editions that they felt were better organized than what we're currently using, included Common Core information that would assist teachers, assuming we move to Common Core. We are at Common Core K-1, and we're to move forward with 2nd grade this year, but we'll be doing a bridge with the Common Core and Indiana Standards again in 2nd. So, all that, the other thing was that Pearson 2013 has the digital format in an e-learning environment that the other editions did not provide, and also would be an online writing assessment program based on 6+1 traits, which we've been using, and students would be able to go in, write a piece, and they would receive immediate feedback. They would get feedback, teachers would, and also building level administrators could evaluate that. Moving to the other levels, which would be 5th grade through 8th grade at our intermediate levels, and then the high school 9 to 12. The other thing that's going on is publishers are not promoting and bringing copies to us primarily because they're in a transition to move to a digital format. So Pearson has something at the high school level, and they showed us samples of that, but it's not prepared at this time. And it may or may not also be available in some format at the intermediate level. So we also have been working in a standards-based environment at the intermediates and the high school, and they were comfortable delaying adoption, seeing how things unfold, and continuing to use standards-based instruction and using our materials and implementing nonfiction books with our instruction. So currently where we're at would be to continue the use of where we're at with our materials in grades 5 through 12, and then would look to adopt Pearson 2013 because of the reasons I just explained. The other part to this is the K-4, we had to do some research and discussion with the representatives from Pearson in order to kind of put together how the cost would flesh out for 2013 and what we would get with that versus staying with the 2011 and what we would not receive with that in that recommendation. So we came away that really for the cost, we're coming out ahead because we'd have a good bridge with the printed copy into the digital. And really at this point, they're recommending that the corporations succeeding at this are those that are blending the hardbound and the leveled readers with the digital format, even when they're one-to-one. And I think Jason said that a couple corporations that have tried to go all one-to-one have just kind of struggled with that, at least at the current time. So.
Nothing is simple.
There's no. Well, one of we began this discussion during our executive committee, and one of the reasons that we wanted it moved to not an action item was because we are ourselves in a transition period or beginning that transition period as far as technology is concerned. And so I guess, I mean, I know that we have to approve SBRR. Doesn't mean we have to buy the textbooks, though, right? We have to have an approved curriculum that is SBRR.
Well, if we recommend...
At least that's what I understood before.
If we recommend one of the approved on the list, we would have to purchase 2013 or 2011.
Okay. I thought 2011 was given to us.
It was given to us to use as a pilot.
Until the next adoption cycle, which we're now
Is
facing.
now.
Okay, anybody else have, Dixie?
I just had a couple of questions. Who writes the textbooks at the state level?
There are teachers that corporations recommend to serve on those evaluation committees. And really, it was very extensive in terms of what kind of information we had access to. And they rated all areas, gave notes on that. And, that was a very good starting point for us. And I think once we came to the point where we actually got into some of the textbooks, some of the things that would come with it, it saved us a lot of time.
Okay, and my second question, and it's just because I've just recently read a few things and I can't remember where I read them, but about the online writing and the feedback. I've read some concerns about the kind of feedback that's given with online writing.
Yeah.
And
Well, we used a similar product when I was an assistant superintendent at Shelbyville, and it provides, I think, feedback in a very generalized way. And so it gives you, it's a barometer of where that student's at in their writing. I think it's up to the teacher to go with that information and then, recommend any course of action with those students. But I think the one thing it does, it can go with the writing prompt for the same one with all students, and then give an idea of where those students are and their level of writing without having to grade a lot of papers and, that becomes time consuming.
Well,
So it can give us a good snapshot.
yeah, I think the concern was it's more generic.
Yeah.
The feedback is.
Yeah, that's true.
Jeff?
I guess my question, again, is timing. We're kind of in a transition, and the board really has just begun the talk of whether you want to call it one-to-one or a digital conversion, or, there's 10,000 different names out there for it. But I thought adoptions were for a period of time of like 5 or 6 years. So I guess one of the leaders out there in the digital conversion is Pearson. They were very prominent at the conferences. So I guess and I have no clue about curriculum, what's good, what's bad, whatever, but I'm kind of surprised that Pearson's not pushing us towards some kind of blended product.
But they do have a blended product, is what
Well,
you're
I
saying.
think that,
I'm not sure if pushing's the right word, because each corporation varies on where they're at on this issue. I do know that Center Grove is moving to one-to-one, and they are going with Pearson, and they're going at it because it will provide both hardbound information and textbooks for kids, as well as the digital. And they're going to be in a transition too, just like we would be. The adoption cycle would be for 6 years in reading, and that's the one that we'll have to stick to in terms of complying with the regs at the state level. But if you recall, in science, we delayed because we were transitioning and piloting the program from the Science Indiana Science Foundation. So that we will use that for 6 years, just because we have costs built into that. So I think you want to work in a 5 to 6 year cycle because of the cost, and not be updating all the time. But in reading, we would have to stick to our recommendation and adoption for the 6 years of this cycle.
Like I said, it's almost like we're almost to the point as we talk about spending money in for technology and moving into this digital conversion. It's almost that maybe we have presentations or something from those individuals themselves, because does that mean, I guess I'm concerned, is this going to limit us anyway? By approving this, is this going to limit us anyway in 6 years?
It helps us, especially at the 5 to 12 level. We put ourselves in a position to really have digital curriculum if that's what we would choose to do. And Pearson seems to be the leader as it relates to digital curriculum with the reading program. So I think we're right in line with where we want to head.
Yeah, and the 2013 version, I think, is marketed as a transition to digital because for the first time, all the student texts will be available through an e-reader format. Right now, our students can go online from a desktop or a laptop and access the reading materials, but they're a PDF. And so it's just thumbing through pages and pages and pages. The 2013 version, you can go online right now on your iPad, and there's a Pearson app, and all the textbooks will be available as e-readers, meaning they'll be able to be highlighted and marked and read through the way that you would read something on your Kindle app. And so that's something that they've put out in the 2013 version. The other thing is the training that they will provide us in terms of getting our teachers ready. I mean, we did a conference call with their number one-to-one trainer, and I thought his recommendation was really good. The first thing we need to do for a year is get these devices in our teachers' hands so that they become the experts. They said in districts where we've tried to implement one-to-one and giving the devices to the teachers and the students is that we have third graders who are the experts telling their teachers how to do things, and they really want our teachers to get comfortable with those devices for a year before we roll them out with students. And so they're marketing it as a transition piece.
Even though it's just e-reader based?
E-reader based.
Well, I mean, it's just a PDF, you're just reading.
No, it is
No, no,
now,
no.
the 13
Now,
is.
the 2011 was just a PDF. They converted to an e-reader for 2013. You can, get an app on your phone or your iPad and actually access your materials. And they've added some features in 2013 that weren't available in 2011 for parents and their access to.
Just to clarify, e-reader would give access to definitions and online things that would take the reader to other places versus the PDF.
So it'll link them outside of the document
Right.
then.
Just a couple precautions as we've researched this and talked to several people, and you can go online at DOE. The DOE precautions us about one-to-one in adopting textbooks, and especially in the reading area, because we will have to have accessible materials to all students, blind students, hearing impaired. All those things have to be thought out and easily adapted for kids because we'll anticipate they have to use those things at home. The companies are coming along, and actually in some areas they really enhance learning for students that need access for various reasons. So I'm not really too worried about that, but it's something we'll have to consider. The other thing would be access to Wi-Fi. Ideally, a student has it on the iPad, can use it in class and then take it home. But for a student who does not have access to Wi-Fi at home, then that might limit their ability to do things at home. So we're going to have to probably work with the community and have places where students may utilize those facilities for that access.
I guess my concern, I just want to make sure that with the 6-year cycle that we're not limiting ourselves.
Say in year 3, we're ready to go
I
more
understand.
to digital, we don't want to be handcuffed.
Right.
But it sounds to me like there's a transition that's going to need to happen. We're not going to be able to get rid of books entirely for a while. The other thing is, I think I heard you say, it really isn't an option to continue to use 2011 for free.
That is not an option.
So we need to adopt something and buy something one way or the other. So we're either going to buy the old ones that we're
Well, we
currently using,
actually-
or we're going to buy 2013.
And we can provide this data to you. We looked at the quote that we received for the materials, and we asked, well, what if we just purchased the new pieces that are...
New teachers editions
The new
or
teachers
whatever.
editions, and just kept the same student readers and the same student editions. And when you look at the individual cost of those items, including the digital licenses, because those are a big piece of what we get in the package is the student digital licenses for 6 years. To piece it out individually and buy just those components actually costs about $20,000 more than purchasing the entire package, because they're built as a package. It's like when you buy a car, you buy a whole car. If you want to buy the pieces of the car, it costs more. So they price it as a package, and so it's much more cost-effective to purchase just the whole packages to try to piece out the pieces that we would want. Because we also said, would we if we bought those pieces, would we then need to pay for the 2011 student editions that we have? Even without putting that into the mix, it's more expensive to purchase just those components.
Well, I guess I would hope also that, I know you had a committee of teachers, but several teachers that I've conversed with really aren't aware of what has been going on. So I would hope that that would be, that would be communicated to all of our teachers so that they are aware that there has been a textbook selection committee and that, you know, in the direction that we are going.
And I can understand that. Of course, it's been a busy year. All of our coaches participated, and the coaches do communicate a lot at the building level, and also I think Cynthia's been doing some of that, but we'll follow up with communication, basically, what I've done.
And
Well, I think it's important, you know, just like it's important that we ensure that we put whatever kind of technology, we put it in our teachers' hands early. It's also important that they are aware and of decisions that are being made on their behalf. So.
Well, we certainly tried to get broad representation. We asked REA to provide us with at least 2 representatives from each building, and we made sure that we had every building represented and every grade level in addition to the coaches. And so at the meetings, we did ask them, please share this with your teachers, and we didn't send anything out from a district level until we felt the board had approved it. So we can do that, though.
Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
Okay, we are not finished yet, are we? Oh, we're ready to go to action items.
We are ready to go to action
So,
items.
okay.
I thought that's where we've been.
We haven't done any action
The
yet.
first
Barry.
action item of the evening is the receipt of donations, and we turn to Mr. Coddington to present those.
Tonight, I'm going to ask that the board approve donations as posted on board docs and is in front of us, which may be hard for the public to read, but in the amount of $12,925.22. I thank the board, that we thank these patrons for their very generous donation.
Okay, do I have a motion to accept these generous donations? Jeff Slifer, seconded by Dixie Robinson. Comments or questions? Obviously, we want to thank everyone that has made these donations. So all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Our next item is our food service bid recommendation. As support for that recommendation, Mr. Coddington has Food Services Director Maggie LaRue out in the audience.
Patiently waiting.
She's the only remaining person from our general audience there. Thank you, Maggie.
Again, posted on board docs and reviewed, and having received the bids, we ask the board to approve the recommendations from food service as presented. And just a bit of information, if you didn't catch it in there, Smith Dairy has retained the Smith, the milk bid for 2013-14 school year.
Okay, do I have a motion to accept the food service bid recommendation?
So-
Dixie Robinson, seconded by Suzanne Darengowski. Comments or questions?
Maggie, I know you do a ton of homework on this, but it comes up every time about quality and taste and all those sorts of things. And so I guess if we have just a second, could you talk about that just a little bit? Like, how do you choose what you choose, and nutritional information and all that sort of thing?
Well, we ask our vendors to send us samples, and we'll get a group of people together, and like a ranch packet, we might try 10 or 12. And the first one you taste, you have nothing but vinegar. And then the next one, you get a little bit better and you get a little bit better. When you get to one that the kids would actually like, and we did a taste test last year, we use that as our base example. And if someone has something other than the example, they're supposed to send us samples. And if it meets it, they would be the winner, whoever is the lowest bid. And this year, we were really surprised. We have Dawn degreaser, and if anybody ever uses that, that stuff is wonderful, but oh, it's so expensive. And one of the companies sent in a Keystone brand, and we thought, yeah, okay. It was fantastic, and like a third of the cost of the Dawn. So of course, they won. And it's all, it's just a process of trying everything, giving everything a chance. And sometimes we went with the example, sometimes we didn't.
On food, I don't know that you had one this year, but in previous years, you've had food fairs, tasting fairs, and kids of all ages will come through there and cast their vote for what they like the most, and there'll be adults participating in that. That's one way that you make some decisions for food choices.
It's just a question that I get asked a lot, is how can that be nutritious? And it, you know, looks like it's too many carbs, and do the kids even like it? And just all those things. So I appreciate that you sharing that you have a process for making those selections.
Absolutely.
That you have guidelines to follow.
Yes, we were told
I know you
this
have
year.
lots of guidelines to follow.
And we were told the breakfast wouldn't change. They would say, and then 2 weeks ago, the new changes came out. So we're trying to meet those. And we have one more year before every breading must be whole grain. And I know the manufacturers are really scrambling to try to make that. Next year, the salt starts. We have 10 years to meet the salt guidelines. I think we're only allowed to have like 630 milligrams of salt, which is a little over a fourth of a teaspoon.
In the whole meal.
Whole meal. That we have 10 years to
Which
get
doesn't
there.
happen anywhere,
I
in
know.
any lifetime,
No.
in anyone's household.
But they're also working on
It
something
does.
called the Sensible Meal Act, and it's going to counter the new Healthy Hungry Kids, because the calories are really, really strict. Because of the components that we have to have, like a legume, and we have to have the dark green vegetable, we were actually having to add, which most of the people in Indiana were, ketchup packets and ranch packets, because we couldn't meet the calories, because they were just so strict.
grief.
So now next year, they've taken away all of that, and we should be able to make our calories, we should be all right.
But the sodium
It's gonna be
issue will be a
fun.
challenge because of processed foods have
The
so much
sodium is
sodium.
crazy.
Well, milk has 140 milligrams of salt, so
Well, and
you have
ketchup
to have your
has-
milk,
I
so.
mean,
Well, and kids are used to salt flavor, and so they will, that will add to the concerns.
And the prices will go up because they're gonna have to add more oregano and garlic and things like that to replace the salt.
And they'll all be just packing a salt shaker in there.
Tell me a little bit about fruits and fresh fruit and vegetable. I know you've done some of that, but where does that stand? The fresh fruits and grants and some of that sort of stuff.
Your fresh fruit and
We were
vegetable.
told that they weren't going to let any new schools on this year, but there were so many schools that had 80% free or reduced or more, so we lost Crestdale this year because they were 72%, and they went all the way up to 81%. So we will have 3 schools on, and then food service will support the other 3 schools.
Thank you.
Okay. I think you ought to hire those Girls Inc. girls to actually go into the,
Take broccoli and go in.
were you here to hear them talk about their? Oh, okay.
Eating broccoli.
You'll have to watch them because they convince little girls to eat broccoli.
Well, it was funny, we had our inspection this year. Star was new, so they have to be inspected. And we asked the kids in the class, what vegetable didn't you like? We thought, well, green pepper. They didn't say radish. So I asked them, I said, did you like radishes? Yeah, we love radishes. It was an interesting experience.
Very good.
Well, thank you,
Thank you.
Maggie.
Thank you,
We
Maggie.
appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Maggie.
Okay, all those in favor of the food service bid recommendation signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Our next item is on a recommendation from our technology coordinator, Mr. Tidrow, and this has to do with replacing one call.
Thank you, Dr. Borf. To provide our schools with the most advanced and convenient method of automating communication with our parents, students, and staff, I am recommending that Richmond Community Schools use Power Announcement. Power Announcement would be initiated on July 1st, 2013. Training for staff and faculty would be provided as soon as we accept this. I also want to point out 3 benefits. We examined 3 other products, and we liked Power Announcement primarily because it fully integrates into PowerSchool, which is our SIS. And right away, when a student's phone number changes, email address, parent, we can use that number. Right now, every night we have an upload. It takes things out of the system, pushes it up to the kind of mothership for one call and back down. That's great, but we want something that's seamless, dynamic, real time. So, second, additional features. We have some more texting features we can use with this new feature, with this new system. Some new emails things, automated report cards that will go out electronically, and finally, cost savings about $3,000 a year, which that'll help us keep some money and push back to the students. So,
Right.
thank you.
Okay, I need a motion. Kelly Baumgartner, and seconded by Jeff Slifer. Comments or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Our final action item is we're seeking approval of the Uniform Code of Student Conduct, and to present that is Misty Hollis.
Good evening. Really, the majority of the items that changed in this came from your work this year. So we have, at the very beginning, if you notice, that we added the board's vision, mission, your leadership values into the Student Code of Conduct. The other component that had a lot of change is based on Indiana code that changed this year regarding bullying. And so in your original document that you received, we just basically had cited Indiana code. After discussion today, we decided we need to be a little bit more explicit for that. So that's what was added at your places tonight, is the actual law, the wording from the Indiana code. The next steps, I will just say, this summer, we are also required by law to put in place guidelines on how to respond to some complaints that might be out there. And so, really, we're kind of ahead of the game because of steps to respect, our bullying curriculum that's already in our buildings for elementary and 5th and 6th grade. So we will just have one of our behavior coaches work those guidelines, and we'll be expanding that, and then work with our principals when they return to implement those. So what I have before you is my recommendation for approval.
Okay, do I have a motion? Dixie Robinson, and seconded by Suzanne Darengowski. Comments or questions?
I had a question
Okay.
about the attendance officer
Yes.
piece. Does that mean we're not going to have attendance officers?
No, what
Or-
I took out, if you go back and look at the old section, it kind of just repeated, and it really it froze us to what our freedom was to work with those
Right.
students.
Okay.
And so in talking with our attendance officers, we just felt taking the specific items out would be helpful. We still have our structure internally and our policies internally, but we wanted to have a little bit more freedom to work with those families and give them better services.
Okay.
Anyone else? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you, Misty.
Thank you.
And now we are ready for our press conference.
One question?
No. Absolutely not.
Had it
It's
for
10
long
after
enough,
9.
add to it. So.
Of course.
Bob, can you repeat, you said there wasn't an Excel-centric contract yet, but you mentioned some of the estimated costs. Was that about $250,000 for the roof and the sprinkler system?
Roof.
I know you don't really know yet.
Yes, roof, sprinkler systems, and general maintenance repairs.
Okay.
other than that. HVAC.
Okay, thank you.
Now, the roof cost is not to be confused with the Excel contract.
And I said that wrong. Just in general, to get it ready for the contract, to get that building ready.
Okay.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
I asked my F for the words.
Yes, I know that. Okay. So now we're ready for consent items.
Our consent items tonight include the approval of the May 8th, 2013 board meeting, executive session, and board retreat minutes. Recommendation from Human Resources, and there is an addendum tonight as posted to the web. Accounts payable, Crestdale Elementary School veteran grant approval. Approval to send the students we met tonight on the corporation-sponsored travel regarding Skills USA. Approval of the Richmond Art Museum user agreement. Approval of the athletic trainer agreement. Filing of reports involving our monthly financials. And then filing of reports, which would be the Richmond High School handbook. Those items I urge you to approve.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the consent items? Pat Heine makes the motion, seconded by Kelly Baumgartner. Comments and questions? Well, congratulations to Crestdale. That was a nice grant. And of course, our friends that are going to be going to present or be in competition at Skills USA.
I think it's in Missouri.
Okay.
St. Louis, I heard him say, yeah.
Kansas City.
Kansas
Well,
City. I thought it said St. Louis.
You know what? I just have a feeling that they will do their job, but they will have fun doing it.
I think Mr. Steck will make sure.
That's exactly right, and that's great. Those are wonderful memories, obviously. Anybody else, comments or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. And now we're ready for our second public commentary. But
With the room.
we did have some public, but they are home, probably in bed.
Watching the Pacers game, guys. They're watching the Pacers.
Eating fruits and vegetables.
They're not exercising?
And now we're ready up for our follow-up old business.
And I'm not bringing any to the table.
Okay. And next is superintendent and board reports, reflections, celebrations.
We've been celebrating a lot, haven't we?
Yes, we have been.
And if we start enumerating, we might leave something out, so.
Well, oh, go ahead. Who would?
You can go first.
Okay, I did want to mention the Vail Art and Music program that they had the other night. I can't remember what day it was now. There's been so many things. But they had such a wonderful parent turnout for that. And their projects and their music was great too. But I was really impressed with how many parents had shown up to support their children. And also I want to mention Richmond High School again put on a really fabulous and in part very funny concert the other night. They have a new Fonz, I think, in the making. So, but it was just a really good concert, and there were so many positive comments from people in the audience leaving the building after the concert was over. It was just really nice.
You're talking about the choral concert?
Yes.
Mhm.
Jeff, did you have something?
Just the honors awards. I just think at the high school that we had last week, it was, I think Mrs. Whoopi said that $2.5 million in scholarships and awards. So I think that speaks well for the community. And
Kelly?
Mid-adult education graduation last evening. That's always one of my very favorite things to go to. There were 3 speeches by 3 of the graduates, and hearing their stories is inspirational. I wish all the students, current students, could hear it, but it was very nice.
An observation that was made by Mr. Coddington, I saw it too last night, was that in years past, some of the speeches had focused on attaining a goal. The speeches this year were all about getting to that
The next
next
thing.
step
I
And they
noticed
were
that too.
taking that big step, but this was on the road to something
right.
even more.
Yes.
All three of them.
And if Bridget were here, I would say to her, we might want to chat with the three of them too, because the other thing I noticed is they were very complimentary and very, very good promoters of the program.
And the teachers.
And the
yes.
teachers, and I thought that their testimonials would be
Yeah.
fantastic. So, I think that's really cool.
Well, I just want to take a moment to celebrate the board, because this board is everywhere. And attend so many events, if not all events. There is usually a board member or more at most of the events that, that we know about at least. And, you know, not only do board members attend events for our students, but this board is very active in the School Board Association, the Indiana School Board Association. We all just attended an event for that a couple weeks ago. And Dixie was a speaker last night at the adult education program. She did a wonderful, wonderful job. And so I just wanted to take time to celebrate each of the board members for their dedication, your dedication, and all that you do on behalf of our students in Richmond Community Schools.
Attending those things remind us of why we do this. I mean, it really makes those connections.
Yes.
It is the why we do it.
Well, and what a fabulous year this year in Richmond
Yes.
Community Schools. The kids have been great.
No, with all the changes, all the positives that have come out of it, you know.
Well, and you know, to talk about our staff and our teachers, and when I'm constantly reminded as I'm watching the news these days of how our teachers, what heroes they really are, because many of the teachers in Moore, Oklahoma, saved students' lives by doing what they did. And so not only are they promoters as far as academics, but they're also protectors, and they wear many hats. And so again, as teachers wrap up this year, I again want to say thank you, and I commend you, teachers, for everything that you do on behalf of our students. And with that, anybody else? Okay. We are adjourned.
We could have gone on and on with celebrations.
Okay, who
That's the
won
thing, it's just
tonight?
like, I mean,
Who brings donuts
sectionals or
tomorrow?
regionals and.
That was great tonight. That was really fun. It was. It was.
Yeah, I've got to go.
Yeah.
Mercy.
Hey, Rob.
Before you leave. No. I know. Get my legs. Kids, because Riley was.
You did a good job.